We begin tonight with a look at methamphetamine use in Siouxland. Drug crisis in the tri-state as methamphetamine has now surpassed opioid use as the leading cause of overdose deaths in the state of Iowa. Now, back in October of 2025, the DEA rolled out Fentanyl-Free America. Now, this was an initiative and public awareness campaign. The goal was to protect the United States from synthetic opioids by disrupting the fentanyl supply chain and reducing its availability. Phase 1 of the campaign was complete in October. Phase 2 of the campaign ran from January 12th, 2026 through February 20th. Now, during those 30 days, the DEA seized about 2,400 pounds of fentanyl, more than 4.7 million fentanyl pills, more than 147,000 pounds of cocaine, just under 21,000 pounds of methamphetamine, and more than 26.3 million methamphetamine pills. Now, according to the DEA, fentanyl is a huge threat across the nation, but in the Midwest, methamphetamine is actually the biggest threat.
The Sinaloa cartel and Jalisco cartel, they're involved in all different types of drugs and drug trafficking. Methamphetamine is king in the Midwest. It's still the biggest thing that we see around here. Certainly in Sioux City, it's the #1 drug threat up there.
Now, during Phase 2, the Omaha division of the DEA, which oversees Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, as well as North and South Dakota, it seized 92 pounds of fentanyl, 1,000 fentanyl pills, 234 pounds of cocaine, 715 pounds of methamphetamine, and more than 2,200 methamphetamine pills. Now, regionally, drug enforcement officials say methamphetamine is the largest threat. So now let's take a deeper look into Siouxland. What's the threat here and what's happening? KTIV's Kaylee Doms reports.
It ruins families, it ruins their life, and it's hard for those people to get off that drug.
Rosecrans Jackson Centers offers substance use and mental health treatment services in the tri-state area. Avery Desi, Director of Residential Services, says this new finding did not come as a shock to them.
So all of our clients come in with a primary substance abuse diagnosis. The top two for us over the last several years has been methamphetamine and alcohol.
But what is shocking is that the meth circulating in Iowa today is far more potent than ever before.
We're seeing a pure form of methamphetamine here in Iowa, more of the crystal meth, or what people call ice. It's a pure form, it's more dangerous, it's more potent.
Sioux City police say every officer is equipped with Narcan to help reverse the effects of an overdose on opioids. But
if someone has overdosed on methamphetamine, that Narcan is not going to work.
Meaning there is no way for first responders to reverse a meth overdose. Officials say it is important to remember.
Addiction is not something people are choosing to do. It's the substances are physically changing people's brain chemistry and their body's reactions to the substance and their emotions and their entire lives.
The amount of meth entering our communities is growing at an exponential rate. In the entire year of 2025, the Tri-State Drug Force seized 30 pounds of methamphetamine. So far this year, in less than 4 months, they've seized 250, a number officials say is alarming. Kelly Doms, KTIV News 4.